I believe the key thing is that the horse is well cared for in the first place. This basically boils down to 3 factors: feeding, rest periods, and sufficient exercise.
Essentially, we carefully monitor the activity level of each horse. If a horse is only walking at a slow pace, it naturally receives a smaller daily ration accordingly. For example, we are feeding less at lunchtime and more in the mornings and evenings. In the evening, the horses receive all the supplements, which are carefully tailored to meet their individual needs precisely. One horse requires this a bit more, another needs that a bit more, but the names are all over here. It's specifically labeled so everyone knows which horse gets what. It's actually the easiest for everyone because I'm not always around, for example, and this makes it simpler for everyone. So they always know exactly which horse is getting which supplement. And then there's also a lot of hay. So roughage is always the thing that needs to be fed the most, which we also have in large quantities here, ensuring it's always ready and available when needed. It's always being said they could really use this, they could definitely use this because it's been coordinated with acupuncture, for example. We just discussed it a little bit among us. Mesh, for example, 7 days a week. Every evening the mesh is given along with the regular feed and the supplements, and it's also good for the stomach and everything. You'll get some. That's the loudest one out of them all. Routine is important. It's about sticking to the times. You notice it right away. If you're even 5 minutes late, they'll already be yelling at you or something. In the morning, feeding usually happens between 6 and 6:30. That's just how it is. The first one who comes in is then greeted with excitement by all of them because they're hungry. And then they're always fed at a set time between 11 and 12 before going to pasture. And then at 5 in the evening, they're fed again, and they additionally always get plenty of hay in the morning and evening.
Feeding is certainly a huge topic, no doubt about it. Ultimately, what really matters is the final result for the horse. This means looking at the horse overall. How does he appear? Too heavy, too light, well muscled, with a glossy coat. Ultimately, the horse should feel good, not too tired or sluggish, not overly energetic. It's all about finding the right balance in combination with roughage, meaning hay or straw, and keeping everything consistent day after day. That's experience you build up. You get to know the feed over the years. Once a horse has been under your care for a few weeks, you know what he likes and what he doesn't. And how does he develop with it? From time to time, blood samples, fecal samples, and even hay samples are taken to make sure everything's right and that all the important nutrients are there and in balance. And in the end, that's what really matters. There's basically no difference in the feeding routine, whether it's during resting periods or when preparing for competitions or actually staying on an overnight show. Certainly, when there's more traveling involved or when the horse is under increased demands, it requires a slightly larger amount of feed, and otherwise perhaps a bit less. But in terms of the type of feeding, there isn't really much of a difference in the long run.
The first horses head out to the pasture or into the walker around 7:30, and we always make sure that by 9 or 9:30, every single one of them has already been outside at least once. So it really varies a lot. Rudy, keep going. Keep going, keep moving. Rudy, are you serious? Now, usually it varies a bit depending on the horse and the day, so every morning can be a little different. Some horses are out in the pasture as early as 6:30. Then there are the others who go into the walker first before heading out. The older ones go out first. Laura, start the walker again, please. They head out first. The older horses either go in the walker or get ridden first, and then they head out. from 8 a.m. to 12:30 p.m. They're ridden, lunged, put on the pasture, all sorts of activities.
It starts in the morning while mucking out, like every horse acts differently. Each horse has its little quirks and strengths. It starts when leading them into the walker, whether they like their partner or which horse they have to go in with. With every horse you have to be very individual. For me, when riding, it's about which bit, which spurs, does he like, doesn't he like. These are just experience-based insights, and you try to apply them as effectively as possible.
I really think it's important for horses to get out. They're animals that need to move. And you don't want a horse standing in the stall, still not outside by 11 o'clock. At home, we've got a plan that we roughly follow just to keep track and make life easier for everyone. And the plan also creates little gaps in between, giving the horses breaks or quiet intervals in the stall, but then they head back out again to move around, stay active, and enjoy a more varied routine throughout the day.
So that's basically the plan. Every evening we go through it and set it up for all the horses for the next day. Let's say if I rode 6 horses today, I can't ride them all tomorrow. I split them up a bit to decide who rides which horse. Then my sister fills in later, who goes into the walker and who heads to the pasture at what time, making sure everything's nicely spread out over the day. So it's not like one horse is done by 10 in the morning while another only gets out much later in the afternoon. So over the course of the day, each horse gets out several times with everything nicely spread across the schedule. Here are the names of all the horses currently in our care, and I mark who I'll ride and who Laura, Karina, or the other girls in the barn will ride tomorrow. It's just really important that the horses get plenty of exercise throughout the entire day and lots of turnout time as well, but not always at the same time, so they get some variety in their routine. And there's a certain structure to how we plan each horse's week differently, making sure everyone's needs are properly met throughout the week.
For example, there's this one horse that goes out to the pasture every day at 6:30. That won't happen. But there are some horses that might get the same schedule 2 or 3 times a week, and then they get stubborn if they don't go out the next day, and they'll even yell at you. In the end, you need to keep some flexibility in there, otherwise it all just gets too monotonous. And then they just switch off. It's like a person working on an assembly line, doing the same thing over and over again. They get bored and dull, and if you suddenly change everything around for a show, they can't really cope with it anymore. Then you get the nervous horses.
Quiet times also mean a horse can really settle down without constant hustle and bustle around them. I'd say lunchtime really is a proper break, just like I expect or demand it for myself. I expect the same for the horses too, and that there are really times when they can sleep, relax, or just chill without any disturbances.
A body just can't run at full speed all the time, so they also need a proper phase to relax. And that's why we also have periods at home between riding and various activities where they can then settle down and rest in the stall. You could say it's like a person who takes a moment to reflect and then carries on. And it's the same at a competition. You still need your quiet times and breaks as well. And you can really see that too. They lie down in the middle of the day. Some of my horses really do need their afternoon nap to rest, recharge, and just take a proper break. So it's like humans in the end. They of course adapt a little to the schedule. You don't say those are fixed times, but for example around midday when nothing much is happening in the barn and things have quieted down a bit, at that point some of them will lie down or just doze off. So it's really important to have a bit of quiet and calm time in the barn itself. Variety ... Just think about it. As a person, imagine being stuck in the same room all the time. Horses, after all, are naturally made to move. And then they just have, it's important for their body and mind as well. There's always this procedure where many say they get ridden for an hour a day and then spend 23 hours in the stall, but that's not what we want.
I'd say if a horse spends 23 hours in a stall, it's kind of dead in the head at some point, you know. He could get 100,000 treats daily, but his mind wouldn't be free.
We'll feed again later at 5 o'clock, and by 5:30, everyone's done for the day and all out of the barn.
First and foremost, it's very important that the horse is well balanced, in my opinion. And the more a horse is at peace with itself, just like with humans, the better it can deliver its performance. And that's mostly about balance. Riding, in the end, is just a small part of it. It's absolutely essential that the staff and everyone involved handle the horses properly, making sure there's no fear, skepticism, or similar concerns, and that everyone feels confident and at ease around them. That there's truly a big heart and a strong sense of confidence within every single horse. And I think that's also very much shaped by how you interact with the horses every single day.